Roma hoses.
Your extended forecast.
Welcome back. 50 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for your tropical update. And yesterday we had our first named tropical system of the year, and it was Tropical Storm Arthur. Now the next tropical system as we go through the rest of the season will be named Bertha, Cristobal, and on down through the alphabet. As we take you into the Atlantic Basin, overall generally fairly quiet. The exception, of course, is Arthur, which fortunately did not affect any land masses. It's generally just been a problem for shipping lanes. As of the 5 a.m. advisory, winds at 60 miles an hour. It's moving rapidly to the east-northeast at 30 with an estimated pressure of 29.47 inches. Arthur is expected to move more north-northeast over the next several hours and expected to become extra tropical by later on this afternoon. We'll keep a close eye on it here, but the winds should rapidly diminish. But it is unusual for it to be holding together so well over cool water. As we work our way into the eastern Pacific, Christina has now been downgraded to a tropical depression. Winds at 30 miles an hour, moving to the west-northwest at 8. And as we take a look here at the satellite picture, you may wonder, where is it? It's right here, very little left with it. We're also monitoring an area just to the southeast of Christina over the next 24 hours. As we take you now into the western Pacific, well, here's what's left of Ha Long. Right now, it's just past Tokyo and working its way out to sea. It did bring in some gusty winds and some heavy downpours, but now it is no longer a typhoon and it's continuing to work its way out to sea. Now what's going on across the lower 48? Here's Bob with Storm Watch.
Severe weather threatens parts of central and eastern Montana today as we have upper-level disturbances rotating on the west side of an upper-level hot ridge, and plus a frontal boundary coming down from Canada. So we could see hail, damaging winds across much of eastern Montana going through early this evening. Also a chance of storms with a couple of impulses in the atmosphere across eastern Texas, which of course has been plagued by flooding. But some of these impulses will ride northward, farther north than they have in recent days. There's a look at the rain right now. We're still concerned about flooding across much of southern, central, and eastern Texas. And there's a look at our flow, our south to north flow on the west side of a high. So this is where we could find some storms, but looking storm-free, by the way, across the Great Lakes. Flood watches in effect from the Red River Valley all the way down to San Antonio and points southward in Texas. This has been a continuing flooding story, and the rains continue to pound the pavement across much of southern Texas. Abundant supply of tropical moisture from South Texas, thinning out a little bit around Houston, or around Austin, let me say, and also around Houston we're looking at some wet weather moving northward into the piney woods. So that's a check of Storm Watch from coast to coast. Now, here's Melissa.
And it's time for your weekend outlook. And if you're looking for outdoor plans on Saturday, well, you may need that wet weather gear, especially from parts of the mid-Atlantic states. If you're going into, say, the mountains here, the Appalachian Mountains from West Virginia down into northern Georgia, could be a few scattered showers and storms. Also wet weather across parts of the western U.S. As we look ahead to your Sunday forecast, still scattered showers and thunderstorms through the nation's midsection. Temperatures comfortable in the northeast, hot in the central and southern plains. Bob?
Well, a large part of the country will feel more than its share of summer heat. Another part will face added threats of floods. In the next hour of First Outlook, you can get what conditions you will face today. Beginning at 6:01, we'll tell you what's going on around the country to give you an early warning on the heat or storms that could interfere with your plans. At 6:21, you can see how searing heat and high winds are putting a wildfire on the move in Colorado. 27,000 acres have been consumed. And at 6:41, water in 40% of the streams and rivers of an eastern state is said to be unsafe to drink. We'll tell you where that is. Stay with us.
First Outlook is sponsored by the reinvented Toyota Camry. Get the feeling.
Turn right.
To find an agent near you, contact 1-800-ALLSTATE or visit our website at allstate.com.
I learned 40 years ago, if you're going to give objective advice, you have to take the self-interest out of the equation.
Charles Schwab created a different kind of company.
The first question we ask our client is, what do you need?
Our expertise is based on hard facts, not hot tips.
Since our employees are never paid a commission, we only offer objective advice.
We're on the side of the individual investor, and that is our purpose.
Clients deserve investment advice that they can trust, period.
There's never been a better time for Charles Schwab.
There's never been a better time for Charles Schwab. Visit the investment center or visit schwab.com.
It's been said that less is more. We agree. The 2002 Toyota Camry, the gold standard, turns
extra tropical. Here's a quick look at the storm. You can see it moving off the coast of Newfoundland. We do expect that it will make landfall in Newfoundland. Not a huge threat, though, for heavy rain or gusty winds. The storm is really starting to lose its punch. We'll touch more on that in a minute, but we do want to reassure you that things are very quiet. Other than Arthur moving out of the picture, quiet across the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Atlantic. Checking in on the names, what will we have? Well, after Arthur, Bertha, Cristobal, and Dolly, Edward, Faye. A lot of different names here, and I'm sure it will be active as we start to head into the end of July and August. That's typically the case in the hurricane season. But again, yes, Arthur now starting to lose a lot of its tropical characteristics. It's becoming extratropical. It continues to move rapidly off to the northeast. It's moving at about 40 miles an hour. And again, it's moving rapidly, still has winds to about 60 miles an hour. If you're plotting it, it's at 41.7 north, 57.1 west. That's about 415 miles to the south-southwest of Newfoundland. Again, it has winds to 60, and it's moving northeast at almost 40. Estimated pressure at 998 millibars. Again, it will probably make landfall over Newfoundland, but again, not a threat certainly at all to the lower 48. There it is. You can see that it's starting to lose a lot of the convection that was previously associated with it. It's not as organized. We do have something new to talk about in just a minute in the Pacific. First, a quick check on Christina. This is a tropical depression. It's at 19.7 north, 122.1 west if you're plotting it. That's about 810 miles to the west-southwest of Cabo San Lucas. Winds to 30 with this, and it's moving west at 12, pressure about 1,009 millibars. This is not a very impressive storm. As a matter of fact, when you look at this picture, your eye goes directly to this cluster of clouds. Well, Christina is actually right here, so there is not a lot of convection associated with just some low clouds, so it's really losing its punch. But we're now watching Tropical Depression 4EE moving southwest of Cabo San Lucas, and it looks like it's getting pretty organized, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. We move to the Western Pacific, and we do have a storm that is about to make a move onto this picture. We can't pick it up with this floating image, but eventually it's a typhoon. It will make it into this shot. We'll be able to show it to you. It's typhoon function, and it could eventually be a super typhoon. Another storm to talk about is Halong, and that's now a tropical storm, and it's also starting to take on more tropical characteristics. We had at least 4 deaths reported in Tokyo as a result of this storm. It made landfall. School kids had to leave school. A lot of people were evacuated to shelters. Winds were clocked to 50 and 60 miles an hour. So again, this was with Typhoon Halong. Its history now, fortunately, just brushed that area. It's now moving out of the picture, and it is becoming extratropical, so no longer a threat at all to Japan. We go to the lower 48 and talk about the weather. The most active weather being the flooding in Texas. Yes, it continues. This is a soggy scenario. We're still scrolling warnings, by the way, on the bottom of your screen. Check the bottom of your screen if you're watching us from, say, Fayette County or Gonzales County. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but we do have warnings, immediate warnings for flooding in those counties. Northern New England, you have an area of low pressure spinning through, keeping you in the clouds and drizzle. But then as soon as you break out of the clouds, from Albany to Jamestown and Buffalo down to New York City and to D.C., the sunshine is really doing its thing. Again, a few sprinkles over parts of northern Maine, but for the most part, this region is going to be very, very hot. Temperatures very close to 90 in Philly. 92 is the temp that we're shooting for in D.C., 92 in Cincinnati, the same reading expected in Detroit. Another hot day, too, in the southeast. Temperatures heating up from Charlotte to Raleigh to Atlanta and Birmingham. Ridge of high pressure holding tight over this neck of the woods. Moisture continues to stream northward into Texas. Fortunately, today, most of the heavier rain falling east of San Antonio. You were inundated yesterday on the south side, so you're getting a bit of a break today. But along I-10, I-35, I-40 out of Houston, a rough ride. And again, flash flood watches are in effect for the areas in green here. But again, we are scrolling some immediate warnings for some counties, including Refugio County, DeWitt County, and also Jackson County. Now, the southeastern picture, the rain continues, hit and miss showers in Florida. But again, the big threat, more heavy rain and flooding in Texas. We'll continue to monitor.
Know why poison ivy and bug bites make you itch? It's a histamine reaction in your skin. Know what blocks histamine? Benadryl Cream, the only brand that penetrates to block histamine that causes itch. Benadryl. Make histamine history.
Okay, Kenny, let's go see what we got, man.
Nothing's faster than Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner, now available in light.
It's a miracle night for me now.
I could never go back to a regular mattress.
We're waking up with, feeling rested, no backaches.
It's just our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons.
Well, thanks, Vivian, and we're finally having closure on Tropical Storm Arthur. It's now going to become an extratropical winter storm. Well, not winter storm, but late summer storm in the North Atlantic. Let's look at the latest information from the Hurricane Center, their 5 p.m. advisory. And you can see here that this is a final advisory. This is 5 p.m., not 8 a.m. Wind 60 miles per hour, moving to the north-northeast at 32 miles per hour, 997 millibars. And look at the satellite imagery here. You can see the circulation center is a low-pressure center, roughly sitting right here, moving very quickly to the north. If you're up here in St. John's in Newfoundland, expect some rain tonight in association with it as it passes by. Most of the strong winds are all on the south and southeastern sector of the circulation, and those are probably not going to affect you too much. Now, in the Gulf of Mexico, we've been monitoring this rather persistent batch of rain moving up into Texas. There is good news, though. There's an upper-level low-pressure system moving over the Yucatan into the extreme southern Bay of Campeche, and that's putting a crimp on the clouds and showers there, so we think that the rain will be lessening over the Texas area over the next 24 to 36 hours. We can see that on the infrared satellite imagery where this upper-level low is now sitting about right here. And in association with that, quite a few showers are flaring up now over Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. And also there's another batch in combination with a tropical wave and that upper low that are flaring up over Nicaragua and Honduras. Let's zoom in on that area. You can see quite a few showers right in through here. Ship reports indicating about 25-mile-per-hour winds behind this. So it's going to be a rainy evening there if you're heading that way, but we don't expect tropical development. This system is moving over land. The remainder of the tropical Atlantic, very quiet today, so if you're heading to Puerto Rico, the Windward Islands, and the Bahamas, they all look beautiful for a vacation. Out in the eastern Pacific, closure also on Tropical Depression Christina, final advisory. When we look at the satellite imagery, we see that we can't even find it on our infrared satellite imagery. It's sitting way out away from the coast over in this area as a low cloud swirl. Now the attention turns more toward a couple of very weak low pressure systems that have the potential over the next couple of days to become a depression. But the good news there is they're moving away from the Mexican Riviera, so we're in great shape there as well. We don't have anything to worry about there. Let's get back to the studio with Vivian.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lyons. I have one question. So with all of that said, if I'm planning a cruise over the Caribbean, say tomorrow, then it should be smooth sailing?
Absolutely. Take me with you, Vivian.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Lyons. The very latest on the tropics. So if you're planning a cruise over the Caribbean, we're talking about smooth sailing all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, actually. If you're going to the beach areas here, say for the eastern Gulf of Mexico. But we have been watching the western Gulf of Mexico with all of this moisture pluming in. It's not a tropical system, as Dr. Lyons mentioned, but it does have a lot of deep tropical moisture associated with it. So from Texas all the way inland to the northern part of the state, with additional rain, flood watches have been issued for the area. The area shaded in green here, South Texas all the way to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Different vantage point of the satellite picture superimposed with radar shows all of this moisture across the area, but say from the Mississippi River eastward, notice how we dry out and totally clear out with mostly sunny conditions, say from Meridian, Mississippi over to Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Macon, Georgia, much of South and North Carolina, Carolina, extending northward along the New England coast, southern New England anyway, from the Jersey Shore to New York City, Boston. You're sitting pretty. We have this area of low pressure that's spiraling just off the coast here. This is associated with a storm that brought all the stormy conditions yesterday. Today, much better though. We have 70 degrees in Boston, 87 in New York, 91 in New York City. So with a little more sunshine, notice how the temperatures are responding to that solar radiation. 101 Rapid City, 100 in Phoenix.
The final issue price is set at $39 each, but during this advance release, you can own the magnificent gold double eagle proof for just $19.95. Each is 24-karat gold clad and is guaranteed to be in proof condition. Orders accepted on a first-come, first-served basis. Strict limit of 5 proofs per caller. Don't miss out on this historic offer. Call now.
To order your Gold Double Eagle proof, call 1-800-651-4774. That's 1-800-651-4774. Limit of 5 gold proofs per caller. Don't wait. Call 1-800-651-4774.
Your extended forecast.